Mark and Jono from Business and Bare Feet. We're again in sunny downtown Austin, where the weather is absolutely amazing. We're just enjoying ourselves around town. We've been introduced to people left, right and centre. And we've recently met Jordache. Jordache is another fantastic startup entrepreneur based in Austin here, and we're going to hear his story. Welcome, Jordache.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the time and look forward to talking with you guys a little bit. So, so anyways, my company's Byte. It's B-Y-T-E.
Byte. Fantastic.
Food and data, right? You get it? Food and data, B-Y-T-E. So that's kind of what we kind of wrote with it.
It's really...
You play on the words. You got to play on the words a little bit. But no, so Byte, I met my two other co-founders about 2 years ago.
So you got two co-founders.
So there's the three of us, and we have a team right now of about 9 individuals right now. So we got
in 2 years, you're up to 9 people.
9 people. So we got in mostly around the engineering development side, Ruby on Rails, iOS, Android. And I can tell you a little bit more about that in a second. But so we got some good interest and we got some good people, and that was our big strategy was. You can't do anything alone, so you got to make sure. I better not be the smartest person in the room. That's my always mentality, right? I want smarter people around me. So
yeah, we're hearing that from a lot of.
You have to.
Did you learn that, or were you taught that?
You know, I'm a big reader. I'm a nerd at heart. I love reading books. I've been reading books about startup entrepreneurship. I mean, Richard Branson is one of my big influencers. You know, obviously Steve Jobs is everybody's influence. But it's just one of those things where you're like, you got to realize, and I learned it firsthand in the startup world is no matter if I can do it. Is that the most effective use of my time, right? So you need to make sure you have the right people that says, you're an expert in that, I might be very good in it, you do that, you do it quicker, and I can go focus my time where I'm the expert. Speed is key. Speed is key. So, but anyways, getting back to kind of what Byte is, we identified there was really 3 big problems in the restaurant industry, right? And we did a lot of validation around it through school and through our team. And it really came down to 3 things. Number 1, feedback is key, right? Without feedback from customers in the restaurant industry. If restaurants don't get that, they don't know how their food's performing, how their service is performing, how it is. But what we found out is in the United States, a lot of people try to do the little receipts at the bottom. You can win a gift card if you call this number in, all this other stuff. It was like less than 1% of people were actually doing that back. So when we were talking to restaurants, they're like, yeah, unless somebody's really pissed off at me, they're not going to tell me my food's good or my food's great. So that was number one problem. Number 2, it's kind of like, let's take 15 years ago, it was nice to have a website, right? It was like one of those, maybe 20 years ago, nice to have. Now it's a must-have. If you have a business, it's a must-have.
Yes.
Same thing in the mobile world now.
Yep.
Before, it was nice to be on the mobile channel for your consumers. Now you have to be in there to be able to compete with your competitors. So we're going to figure out a way, how do we let restaurants become mobile without spending the resources, knowledge, and time to not only build the mobile app, but get it on your consumer's phone. So that's the other problem we identified. And the last thing was, how do you collect, there's a whole bunch of data coming through restaurants, especially with smartphones today, right? You can collect, whether it's around your customers or preferences, trends, how do you collect that and actually use it for operational purposes? And so those are the 3 problems we identified. So really what Byte is, it's an ecosystem for both restaurants and consumers to basically be able to leverage data, information to make the best, smartest dining decisions, whether it's from an operational standpoint or if I'm a consumer, where do I want to go eat? And once I get there, what's good there? So what we developed is a mobile app for the consumer, and we have a back-end web portal for the restaurant. But what the consumer is, now that we say see it before you eat it, everything's going to be visual. So now you get to visualize the menu item, and now we're collecting feedback down to the menu item level.
So you're getting deeper and deeper into that experience.
Because what we realized is when we start collecting analytics, let's say you were in Australia, Byte was in Australia, right? You came to Austin, you're like, you know what? Where should I go eat? I heard about all these great places. We're going to say, you know what, Mark? Based on everything you've bought in Australia, everything you've rated in Australia, not only here's a restaurant, but here's a menu item that would match your preferences. So things like
Probably
that.
Send us to like a $1 squillion restaurant. The price of food in Australia.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So it's really trying to personalize that dining experience for consumers, but at the same time, allowing the restaurants to collect that feedback to help them improve their business down to the menu item level. So we're going to tell them, you know what, on Thursday at 5 o'clock, your macaroni and cheese goes from an A+, because we use a grading scale, A+ to F, from A+ all the way to C+. Here's why. Was it your service? Was it the food quality? Things like that. So we're going to help them become a smarter restaurant.
Over time, you can get trends.
Oh,
you can see when people start.
Well,
coming.
it's not over time. It can be a day-to-day
So
thing.
exactly.
The problem is they do look so far over time.
Exactly.
And their data could be month.
Well, and so everybody asks us, you guys are familiar with Yelp. Everybody's like, so you're kind of like Yelp. And we're like, well, we're Yelp on steroids, but at the same time, anti-Yelp. And I'll tell you why. So Yelp on steroids because it's a mentality with Yelp. I got 5 stars. I can choose from 5 stars. I can give you a 4.5, 3.5, whatever it is, right? With us, what we're saying is, let me take a step back. With Yelp, I can sit right here in this seat. I could go rate a restaurant in Chicago or New York. So for me as a consumer, I won't use Yelp to find out what's around me. I don't use Yelp based off the ratings because they're unreliable to me because I don't know how quality. With Bite, you cannot leave feedback unless you walk through that door at the restaurant. So now we know you've been there, and we're working on mobile ordering and payments, so we know what you purchased to be able to basically.
So how do you know someone's been there?
Technology, no, it's secret sauce. I can't tell you that. I'm gonna have to kill you. No, no, just
worse.
No, it's nothing fancy. At the end of the day, what we do is we build a geofence around the restaurant, right?
Okay.
So once you walk through that door, we don't know like all your personal. So we're not Big Brother or anything, but we know that you've activated something to give you access to
For those
that.
playing at home, a geofence makes you lose your hair. I mean, look.
See what happens? Hey, I sport this with pride. I'm very happy with my hair. No, makes it easy in the morning. No, but so that's kind of what we're trying to do is how do we leverage this data for both restaurants and consumers and basically enhance this dining experience. So
well, you're enhancing the dining experience, but you're also enhancing the restaurant's ability to continue to get better, to continue to grow.
Well, and so that's why we kind of say we're Yelp on steroids because Yelp, it's on the restaurant level, right? It's how good is this? I'm going to give an overall grade. Like I mentioned, we're going down to that menu item level to help you get. How does this chicken strips? Or when I walk in, what are the 5 trendy menu items in this restaurant in the last week? Or what we're going to be able to get to is who truly has the best hamburger in Austin, Texas, or margarita, or chips and salsa, whatever you want to say. That's the kind of data that we're going to be able to provide to customers and then help restaurants, navigate that whole realm.
So theoretically, a restaurant could, like for example, if they're obviously giving, like we could be doing it for this place.
Yeah,
for example.
exactly.
This is probably the 5th best coffee I've had in America,
Yep.
And that's a big call for an Aussie. But, so we could be saying that in here, and they could be pinged.
Oh, yeah. So
we're in a coffee shop, by the way, and they could be pinged, and they could see straight away they're getting great feedback.
let me tell you something even better what we have in there. So we call it a grade trigger, right? So I mentioned A+ through F, right? When the restaurant builds out their menu or signs up with their profile, they say, you know what? I want to be notified every time someone leaves me a grade below B+ or C+. So what happens is when you leave that grade, let's say you gave them a D+ on that coffee, maybe it wasn't that good a coffee, right?
Yeah.
What happens is whoever's accounts, whether it's we have SMS or push notification, SMS or an email, it will notify that person. And what happens is it says, you know what, so-and-so left you a low grade. What happens, it opens up a direct channel of communication between the restaurant and that consumer. So they can follow back up in a private communication and privately say, hey, I'm sorry you had a bad experience. We have a whole loyalty program, so consumers unlock prizes. Here's 500 points for your bad experience. Come back and try it again. So it's really trying to connect that consumer in the restaurant and let them fix a problem before somebody just gets too pissed off and just starts blasting on Yelp.
This stuff is super powerful. We were talking before about Silicon Valley
Yeah.
and how I opened up my first office there 20 years ago.
Yeah. It seemed like just yesterday, though, doesn't it?
It does.
See?
It was pre-internet days, so we used to do feedback. We used to post the letterbox, the reply page. We collect them. We got very high responses, and we tabulated it. And I'll tell you what we learned from that was very different to what everybody was saying about the product, or about similar products. We changed our marketing as a result, rolled out a new brochure, because that's what it was back then.
Yep.
Bango.
See, and
Double business in a month.
And you know what's so funny about it, and this is something that
It's powerful.
they hammered this home when we were in our grad program here at UT, the MSTC program. It was just like, and it seems so intuitive when you think about it, but it's like, instead of me go building something or going doing something and assuming, let me go talk to those people. What do you want? What do you want? You tell me what you want, I'll go build it. And it's the same concept, right?
It is.
If I'm a restaurant, I'm gonna sit here and try to serve chicken strips or a hamburger. If my customers don't want that, if that's a clientele coming in, let me ask them, what do you want? And that's what we're trying to say is, look, go ask them, go get the information for them before you waste the time, money, effort to go offer them.
The business problem isn't to give the customer what you want.
Exactly. And there's a book, one of my professors, he says, if you build it, will they come? And it's a great book about market validation, about, how, just go talk to people. People are so afraid to talk to people.
We are hearing so much about validation at the moment. Validation.
Well, and that goes back to speed, right? Because in the startup world, right, you got a runway. I got this amount of money, whether I raise, an angel round, a seed round, whatever, I got this amount of money, it's gonna last me X amount of months. I got to make sure that $1 gets me $10 somewhere down the line, right? So I got to make sure I'm being the most efficient as fast as I can, either get it to market, get traction, get whatever it is, whatever your goal is, you got to do it fast, you got to do it quick, you got to do it efficient.
Okay, so you've got some great thinking in your team. You've thought very deeply about this. That takes time.
That does take time.
And then it gets validated or tweaked. How many pivots did you have?
Oh, Lord. Oh.
We got to list all of them.
Yeah, no. I mean, so
4,000.
so I would say the overall general concept of feedback down to the menu item, that was kind of always there, because one of my co-founders who I met that was like kind of brought this idea into my attention. He was like, he was a nerd, right? He calls himself a nerd, right? So he's like, yeah, I built my own little Android app, and he's like, me and my wife love chips and salsa. So for 6 months they ran around Austin. Every place they went to, they ordered chips and salsa. He built his own little rating system, and he was like, he applied it on Google Maps and figured it all out. And he was like, you know what, this is great, but he's like, what if 5,000 people told me who had the best chips and salsa? Instead of somebody putting some sign out front that says, we have the best margarita in town. You don't know that. That's marketing, right? So it's kind of like that stayed consistent. Now, some of our features, like mobile ordering, mobile payment, right?
Yes.
We can go partner with somebody. We were like, that really wasn't until we realized that we have to have some hook for the consumer to use the app. How do we entice the consumer to use the app? That's where the loyalty program came out, because people want to get rewarded for their feedback. How do we make it digital, and how do we make it easy, right? I mean, and even like our first, oh my gosh, I hate saying that, like our first version 1 of our app, it was hideous. Let's be honest, right? But it was MVP, right?
Yep.
But it was like, we did they have a food truck competition here in Austin called Truck by Truck West. I think they changed the name. So I think they got in trouble with the the South by little thing, a little small thing here, right?
Can't understand why.
But it was like basically what it was is like 50 food trucks, 6-day period where they basically consumers buy a wristband, you go around and get samples of all 50 food trucks. Okay. They vote at the end, and the winner gets $10,000. Food truck does, right? So we're like, this is great. Let's partner with these guys, because they wanted to try to develop their own mobile app. We're like, hey, look, will you use our version 1? It's more of a beta test for us, and you guys can use it for free, whatever. Great, because it was 6 days in a row. We were out there from like 11 a.m. to like 8 at night, hanging out with the people, talking to people, watch them use our app. All the questions they came with, like, how do I do this? And what we learned was, we knew what was supposed to go on in the app because we've been around it for so long, right? But it wasn't intuitive enough to those guys. So we're working on version 2 right now. We got great feedback from that and how to make this more intuitive. We did wireframes, we did testing, things like that. So it was learning. But I mean, you don't know until you go out there and put yourself out there.
It's not learning just for the text, it's learning right across the executive in the company.
Exactly.
Because the whole company needs to be on the same page.
But this can be a big problem in technology, can't it? Because quite often, if you've got a techpreneur, like a techo that's leading the charge.
Our CEO's from IBM world, the Sun Micros, he's an engineer.
They quite often want it to be perfect, they want it to look good, and at the end of the day, ugly early is the best thing you can do. Kick it out there, let the kid get slapped around a bit.
Exactly.
And see what you need to do.
And what's great about that is, when you do that, you get feedback, and when people see that you've taken their feedback to heart, they feel like they got skin in the game. That's building advocates early on in the early. So when you come out with version 2, you be like, hey, look, version 2's out. They're going to become one of your biggest ambassadors.
This is real life.
That's real life.
You see that excitement build up in
Dude, it's crazy. Like we were at so we have a big partner. We have a big strategic partnership with IBM, right? Yes. So we were at one of their events like a week and a half ago, and they set us up a little table, and we were out there talking. And one woman came up. She was like, "So tell me about your app." We guys giving her a little spiel, and she's like, "So I wish you guys would allow me to keep track of all my favorite restaurants, all my favorite dishes." I was like, "Look, we already got that in there." She's like, "What?" No, she's like, I was like, yeah, we talked to people. She's like, she grabbed a handful. She's like, I'm giving it out to all my friends. I've been trying to find. She's like, I was like, well, give us a little time to get version 2 out there. She's like, I'll wait for a year. You let me know but it's that excitement. Yes. But I'm telling you right now, that's what drives us, because as you know, as entrepreneurs, it's up and down, up, down, up, down. And when you need to pick me up every once in a while. So when you can get out there and interact with your customers, and they get you that excitement and that fire burning again, you're like, I'm ready to go back. It's 9 o'clock. Let's go back to the office. Let's go. It's kind of like that thing, right? So it's a win-win. But then they feel like they're part of your product or your company. Yeah. So it's a full circle.
That's exactly what you need when you're starting out.
You got to.
You need a community, even if it's for free. You need a community of feedback.
Yeah. Exactly.
But you also need feedback that says, you know what, we're doing something good here.
Exactly.
Even though it's hard.
You need both, because at the end of the day, and that's what we kind of. One of my co-founders' families in the restaurant industry, so they were like our early testers, right? And it was kind of like, guys, we got to get out of these guys because I'm guaranteed they're not going to tell us stuff that we don't want to hear, right?
Okay.
So it's like we got to find, objective.
They were being too kind.
Yeah, because they're like it's their baby, it's their little brother, that's in here. So it's just like, dude, like we're big boys. Tell us what's really wrong, So once we kind of started expanding it out, and then we started getting, true good feedback.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things you gotta know who you're talking to at the same time.
Choosing your customers.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
Particularly in the early days.
No doubt that you got to find that beachhead. You got to go attack it. You guys know that D-Day analogy?
Yeah.
Did Enrique talk to you about that? Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a common.
Okay. I know because they hammered that home in school, and I'm like, that analogy has stuck with me, and I mean, it's just something you can picture in your head.
Yes.
Everybody knows about World War II. Yep. When I can say, I gotta go find my Normandy. I need to go find my beach in Normandy. Who's gonna be that first person so I can go take over France to get to Germany and kill the Nazis? I mean, no disrespect to anybody, but that's. I mean, that's the analogy, right? No, but
the analogy's good.
It's so. But yeah, same thing. So I mean, and that's something we've been, and that's a continual process, right? Because it's like when we did our first round of market validation, we got a good idea for what market is. We got a good idea, but like we partnered with Texas Venture Labs, which is an extension of University of Texas. It's kind of like their little incubator thing. So
we've been hearing about those.
So what they do is they grab students have to apply for it, but it's not just business students. It's engineering students,
yes,
pharmacy students, all that stuff. And they come to this program, and then they get like a 1 semester, 1 class snapshot of market validation, entrepreneurship, things like that. So they partner with early stage companies and later stage companies. They give them a project to work on, and they just finished it up maybe actually Monday was
how long was that program for?
1 semester. So we started in January, and they just gave their final presentations on Monday.
Okay.
And so I can tell you one of the things that like we knew we were going after full service casual restaurants, right? Because we understood fine dining, their clientele are a little bit different than dealing with pulling out a mobile app, stuff like that. Quick service, when you go to McDonald's, you know what a Big Mac is, right? You know what you're gonna get, right? If it's bad, it's bad. It's bad anyways, in my opinion. But then it's like, okay, so we knew full casual restaurants, but we knew food trucks. But what we didn't know and what they found out for us is after 3 years in business, if a restaurant survives for 3 years, they basically cut majority of their marketing budget. So we're like, okay, we need to find restaurants, full service casuals that have been open less than 3 years because they're the ones that are leveraging most of their marketing dollars, which is the bottom line that we're going after to buy our service. So this things like this continue.
So without that paying attention, you'd miss the finer details.
We would have been spending our time elsewhere talking to restaurants that probably couldn't be our first adopter. Exactly.
But you've got a value proposition that's valuable to this niche now.
Exactly. No doubt about it.
Not that niche.
Nope.
But
We know where we're headed.
So your story has been, obviously by marketing using the product, your story has been very much a market research, like a really good detailed analysis of market research.
And it's ongoing.
Which is what you're actually providing as a product.
Well, the way we looked at it is if we're trying to tell restaurants to collect data, use data to drive their business, we better be using data to drive our business, right? So it's just kind of one of those things. We're gonna eat what we serve, kind of thing. So.
In Australia, we say smoke what we sell.
It's a eat your own dog food over here.
Eat your own dog food.
Y'all crack me up. Y'all are hilarious. I like your style.
So tell us, has it all been rosy with?
Hell no. No.
Have you lost people in the team?
We've cut people.
You've cut them?
Well, yeah, because here, let me fall back up with that. But with being rosy, one of the things people got to realize when they get into the entrepreneurship world or the startup world, I came from corporate, and it's a totally different beast. And you might have a great idea, you might have a great product, but if your mindset's not right, if your family's not on board, your spouse, if you don't got your I've been taking a paycheck in 2 years, right? But I made sure that I had my stuff aligned, or I still do consulting on the side to bring in a little bit of income, but I still made sure I had all my ducks in line so I could focus on this and still survive. My bills keep coming in. They don't stop because I'm working on a startup.
So how do you know your family's on board?
I'm a single guy with no kids, so it makes it pretty easy for me.
Oh, well, you just mentioned family.
No, because but like I have a girlfriend, right? And she's in corporate, but that was something she kind of had to kind of switch her mind around, was because she's working 9 to 5. She lives in Houston, right? So we're long distance. So it was one of these things like she gets off work, she wants to talk. She wants to talk on the phone. I'm like, sorry, babe, I got a presentation, I got to get out. She doesn't understand, there's no such thing as days anymore for me, right? It's not Sunday, not the weekend, not Friday. I wake up and I'm like, look at my to-do list. What do I got to get done today? I can't go to sleep till this is done. There's no such thing as weekends in my life anymore, right? But I enjoy that. I thrive off that, right? That's just who I am. But that's what I realized too when I was in the program, the MSCC, is seeing all the different people, the backgrounds, where they're coming from. And it started, you could see people getting weeded out because I'm telling you right now, it's a different, there's a, I don't want to say like, not anybody can't do it, but you got to make sure your mind's right and your surroundings right, because you're not going to be successful without that.
Yeah. So talk about the journey out of corporate. I mean, we've had a few come out of corporate, a lot haven't.
Yeah.
So what were some of the assumptions you came into this from being a corporate player?
Yeah, so let me give you a little back. So I graduated in 08 from undergrad with finance accounting degree, right? Yep. Best time in the world to graduate with a finance degree, right? That was that booming time for finance. But no, I was blessed. I had a good opportunity to get with an investment firm or investment security firm. And I always had in my mind, I want to get to Wall Street, right? That was just like, I'm going to Wall Street. I'm going to become a big financial investor out there. Let's go do our thing. I started doing it, and it was one of these things where 2 years into it, making good money, not having much time to spend my money because you're working 70, 80, 90-hour weeks sometimes. And it was just, I was single then, and I'm like, you know what? Life's only going to get more complicated from it. Is this a lifestyle that I truly, truly want, right? Is it, when I have kids, when I have a wife, do I want to be missing my kids, as corny as it sounds, missing my kids' baseball game because daddy got to go work on Wall Street? And it was one of those things I'm like, no. And I'm the type of person, if I don't want to do it, I don't have passion for it, I'm not going to do it. And maybe that's hard-headed, but it's like, I got to figure out something else. So that was kind of like what drove me.
It's honest.
It's honest.
Well, but I think the problem is I think everyone feels that.
But how do you do it?
But well, see, most people resign to second best.
Yeah.
Because it's safe.
Yes, and that's one of those things, and that kind of goes in back to what I was talking before. You got to be a risk taker. This is a risky business. I mean, in the environment, I'm saying, because nothing's guaranteed. We might be out of cash in 6 months, and then what, right? But what I've learned along the way, it's all about networking, building relationships, building partnerships, because I'm telling you right now, and don't quote me on this, but if something happened with Bite,
we're quoting you already.
Oh, hold on, man, y'all gotta cut that. No, cut. No, but it's one of those things where, you know, if something happened that I needed to go get a job, I have a good network here from big companies, small companies, startups, and it's still.
The important thing about this conversation is that's real.
That's real.
Okay.
That's
what everyone else won't say.
It's exactly, and it's one of these things too. Is you got to get over the fact that here this is really drove me in 2008, right, when I started my job. Great recessions going on, people getting cut. My company started, I think we couldn't end. I started in July. By October, they started layoffs. I'm freshly out of undergrad, 24 years old, right? I'm watching people get cut 15 years on the job, 20 years on the job, 25 years on the job. Why? From a business perspective, it makes sense because it's a lot cheaper to bring somebody else new in than paying somebody that's been there for 20 years. But when they want to talk about job loyalty to their employee, there's no such thing. That's all facade. And that's when I saw that firsthand, I'm like, I got to be selfish. I got to make sure Jordache is taken care of. Jordache wants to do what he wants to do. I'm not going to, and it came down, why am I going to spend 80 hours of my time to make somebody else rich? Why don't you take the risk and try it yourself? You fail, dust yourself up, go try it again. And that was kind of what really drove me to say, you know what, there's no such thing as job security. I don't care what anybody tells you, there is no such thing as job security. Anything can happen.
So tell me about the risks. Did you actually know what the risks were?
No, I thought I did. I thought I knew what the risks were, but it was. I mean, obviously you don't have a paycheck coming in every 2 weeks sometimes, depending on what stage you're at. You know, there's a chance of people care what people think about them, so you might get blacklisted if you failed. You gotta get over failure. Like failure, if you don't fail, you're not trying hard enough, in my opinion, right? And so it's kind of one of those. I mean, I'm trying to think of some other ones that big risks. I mean, it's looking stupid in front of people too. Like, is this really a good idea? Like, or am I gonna make a fool of myself?
If you come out of corporate, you've got a persona that people know you by.
Man, and you know what? That's one of the things I hated about corporate was, as you see, I'm a very timid, quiet, don't like to talk to many people kind of person, right? Yeah. No, it's one of those things where it was kind of like every day. And I remember it was January 11th of 2012. I remember that was when I was like, I'm done. I was walking in the office, walking in our main doors, and I'm like, all right, Jordache, put your corporate mask on, because I'm like, I can't go talk. I gotta be my robot and be professional. I'm like, dude, life's too short. Like, why am I gonna be telling somebody I'm really not to make sure I fit in an environment I might not want to be at just because for a paycheck? You gotta be kidding me. I'll go make my money somewhere else. So I was just like, dude, I got degrees, I got my degrees, I got my pieces of paper, and don't get me started about how I feel about college these days.
Well, but we can have a long one.
We'll have a discussion about that.
But it's one of those things where I was just like, you know, you got one life to live. Go big or go home.
Yep.
And that's just my mentality. It's always been my mentality. It got me in trouble a couple times, but it's always been my mentality. So that's kind of like, you know what? Let's get our ducks in order. Ducks in order.
Okay, you got one life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you take holidays now?
What do you consider a holiday?
Well, you tell me. How do you de-stress? How do you get away for a bit? How do you sit back and enjoy the girlfriend's time over a multiple day period?
It's tough. It's tough because I get so focused. When I get focused on something, I'm like, I just want to, let's figure this out. Let's get it done now kind of thing, right? So it's kind of one of those things where, as lame as it sounds, I put time in my calendars, in my calendar on my phone. It says 30 minutes, go walk, go take a walk. And I have a home office too, so I'll go walk around my neighborhood. But you know what I found out? I walk, put my headphones in. I love listening to classical music because I can't listen to music with words in it because I get too distracted.
Yep.
And I sit there on my phone, brainstorm. What's in your head? Get everything out of your head. Clear your mind out. My office I turn my closet doors into whiteboards. My walls whiteboards. I'm just get everything out of your head, clear it out, and get fresh. So it's just like setting time out in your day to get away. I do yoga. I shoot photography. So some weekends I might just go shoot photography just to release things and get away from technology. But at the end of the day, I realize, like, if I go on vacation and let's say I step away for like 3 days, I'm more stressed out when I come back than I would just move. So it's always that balance. So, but at the end of the day, you have to, because you got to realize, and I haven't pushed myself to the edge. I pushed myself very close to the edge, but without your health, it don't matter what you're doing.
Yep. It
doesn't matter how great you're. I don't care if you run $1 billion company. Ask Steve Jobs how he's doing right now. I hate to say that, but thankfully he had the resources to help him go a little bit longer. But without your health, nothing matters.
Yep.
So, and then it goes down to family. So really, it's your own personal priorities. These are my priorities:
yes.
family, God, or not in that order. God, family, and then health. Sorry, Doug. No, but it's one of those things. It's like you got to make sure your priorities are online.
Yep.
But then you just got to. It's all about, like, my girlfriend. It's all about communication. I let her know, hey, like, babe, I'm gonna be out for these next 4 hours. Sorry if I don't respond to your text, and it makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah. So she knows.
She knows.
And she's agreed. She's given you.
She's agreed.
Approval.
So how long has she given you to get it right?
What's funny is she works for an oil company in Houston. She's a project manager on this big project they got going on, and she was telling me yesterday. She texted me yesterday. She had a frustrating meeting with her boss and her team, and she's like, so when's bike gonna take off? She's like, I want to come in this startup world. And I was like,
oh, no.
what? I was like, babe, we can't have our eggs in one basket. Let's wait a little. She being around, she's met the team. She saw the environment where she saw the camaraderie, and she was like, she's starting to get that bug. She's starting to get that startup bug. We'll see where it goes.
Hey,
but
she might be doing her own.
Hey, more power to her. So we'll see what we can. So she's gonna stick it out a little bit longer. She got a project to work on, but who knows where it's gonna end up. But
Okay. So to have 9 guys,
yeah.
they're all on some sort of salary?
So
Or they're all just loving it and putting the energy in?
Me and the 2 co-founders, we're not drawing any cash.
Yeah.
We hired our first full-time employee in January, VP of Engineering.
Okay, so only 3.5 months ago.
Only 3.5 months ago, and then all the other guys. So we have our VP of Engineering does our database and our Android development. My other co-founder does our iOS development, and then we have 2 QA engineers, and then we got 3 Ruby on Rails developers.
Okay.
And then how many is that? 9, 8. Who am I missing? 7.
Yeah.
Then myself and our CEO.
Okay.
So that's kind of how the team's broken up, and it's been very development heavy because we got to get the product tight.
You've got some money, or you've got some income?
So we've raised a little over $700,000, and that was from friends, families, and fools.
Yep.
And
3 Fs.
3 Fs, and it was.
That's not bad from the 3 Fs.
No, we're blessed, and one of the strategies we looked at was, why don't we? A lot of these guys own 8 restaurants, 10 restaurants. They're sitting on some cash. Why don't we try to get them involved with this? And it's going to help their business. Why don't you have your hand on both sides of the thing? So we started approaching some restaurant groups, and we had some connections, and we were blessed to raise that amount of money. And so that's kind of what we've been rolling with. And then
So your customers have double invested in you.
Yes, and because here's the thing is, you got to realize if they're giving us cash, you best believe they're gonna be using our product when it rolls out, you know. So it's one of those things where it's all about relationships at the end of the day. Partnerships, relationships. You can't do anything alone. So that's kind of how we approached it. We're hopefully, let's see, hopefully we're coming out in our new partnership in the next couple weeks. We get that finalized, and that's going to be a big win for us. And then when we do that, we've already been talking to quite a few investors for that big Series A round.
You're going to go for an A round?
We got to go for an A round, but it's really, we got to prove out traction, right? It's all about traction. We got to prove the user base, restaurants, so that's what we're focused on right now.
So the A round is going to give you money for growth, marketing?
So I mean, marketing, we got a great, we got a marketing guy too. I forgot about him. We just brought him on not that long ago. You got to give me some credit. Sorry, Ramiz, if you see this. But no, we got. So we have a great marketing guy. So we have good strategy and campaigns how we can do stuff cheaply. Because if you're good at marketing, you can do it cheaply, right? You don't need a big marketing budget to throw dollars at. But no, for that, when we're going to raise that big round, it's going to be straight expansion. I mean, that's when we're going to hire a full team on, our core team, start building out, finishing out the team, and then it's going to help us. We have I'm not going to say our strategy, but we have our different cities that we've already identified and how we're going to go roll that out.
Geographical expansion.
Yeah, because I can tell you this, we basically looked at, cities that have a young population or a big university involved, because that's a big demographic, right? It's who has, obviously, big in the food scene, restaurant scene, and more of the trendy, hippie, hip restaurants kind of thing, right? Not hippie, hip restaurants. Yeah. And so there's you can look on Google and you can see what cities we're going to be looking at. But obviously we're going to focus on Texas. We got 4 big cities here: San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Austin, and prove that out, and we can keep on growing. So, but yeah, that's gonna. Then we're off to the races. Then it's all about execution. So
in terms of your team, so you're looking at your next is going to be a rapid expansion. Obviously, once you do your round A.
Yeah.
What do you need to put in place to make sure your team's ready for rapid expansion?
Yeah, are you talking about like the infrastructure side and things like that?
Or both. Yeah, infrastructure, people.
Yeah, so obviously as we grow, a lot of times people forget about customer support. The back end, like how am I going to handle these people once I get them signed up? Our salespeople go do their job. How do you hold their hand? How do you get them? Right, so obviously we'll be bringing on people there depending on how fast we grow and things like that. Obviously we're bringing on more sales is going to be heavy. We're going to be heavy on sales. We're not going to take the Yelp approach where we go and just start pounding on doors and putting teams, because that's very expensive and it takes a long time. In the restaurant industry, you got to realize these guys are. Somebody's coming in the restaurant every day trying to sell them the new way to slice bread, right? So it's kind of, you got to figure out, how do I get creative so they don't look at me, this is another sales guy trying to come sell me some new shiny product kind of thing. So it's like, okay, we have some creative ways we're gonna try to fight that. So it's getting creative. It's thinking about.
You've got competitors.
We got no doubt about it. Look, if we didn't have the competitors, I'd be scared. Yeah. We don't have the competitors, I'd be scared. No, because it's the restaurant industry in the United States. I think it's $684 billion this year or last year. So it's
enormous.
We don't need the whole freaking pie. We just need to go prove the traction out and go get our strategy. We're getting acquired. That's our. I don't need to grow this to the next $1 billion company, right? I can get this to a point. Now, if we go get acquired by somebody, they can help us really expand and grow that within the organization. Great. My goal is, this is project number 1. Let's get this thing off the ground. Let's get this thing moving. Let me get that first one underneath my belt. Let's go find the next project. Because that's how I work. And that's what I realized in corporate was, I was in finance. It was the same thing every 30 days, month close, year-end close. I'm like, all right, here we get to do this again. I'm like, that's just not my personality. It drives me absolutely crazy. So let's get in. Let's spend 3 or 4 years and go.
People's personality,
it is.
But it's not the entrepreneurial startup space.
Well, here's the thing: I need those people when I grow my company.
Absolutely.
I need those people sitting in their cubicle knocking things out.
That.
Exactly. Everybody doesn't need to enjoy. If everybody enjoyed the same thing, we'd be a messed up world, or messed up more than what we are.
But we wouldn't have anyone to help you.
True. I'd be like, hello.
Everyone's off doing something new.
Exactly. So
tell us about the